Hello all, welcome to this live session where here we will be conducting few previous year GATE questions of GATE Metallurgical Engineering 2010 question paper. So I will go through 4 questions today. I will tell the question and I will give you the answer, approximate answer of that question, like how the steps should be to solve that question, and later we will see that how we can come to the solution of the question. So here I have taken few physical metallurgy as well as mechanical metallurgy problems, so I will go through it. So first of all let me share my screen. I hope my screen is visible. So again I will welcome you to the GATE NPTEL session 11. So I will take 4 questions from GATE Metallurgical Engineering 2010 question paper, and these questions will be related to physical metallurgy as well as mechanical metallurgy. So first question I will project here. This is GATE Metallurgical Engineering 2010 question paper, question number 11. The Miller indices of the direction common to planes 111 and 110 in cubic system is: option A is 111 plane, option B is 110 direction, option C is 1 bar 10 direction, and option D is 1 bar 11 direction, and option A is 111 direction. So firstly we will try to draw two planes. Let's say this is one plane and another plane is like this. Okay, so this is plane 1, which we will take as 111, and this is plane 2, which we will take as 110. Okay, so these two are the planes. Now we have to find out the direction which is common to both these planes. So first of all, when the direction that will be common to both the planes will lie in both the planes, right? So when these two planes intersect each other, that direction will be common to both the planes. Hence, if we imagine like this 111 as the normal of this plane, let's say this will be 111. Okay, and this will be the normal of another plane. Let's say this is 110. Hence, when both these normals will be perpendicular to this direction lying in both these planes, hence we have to find out a third vector, or let's say direction, which is perpendicular to 111 and 110. Okay, so how to calculate is basically just a cross product of these two things. So let's say IJK 111 110. Okay, so if we do cross product of this I component, J component, K component. Okay, so I component will be 1 into 0 is 0 and minus of 1, so this will be minus 1. Okay, ith component, and minus J of 1 0 minus of minus 1 will be 1, and for K will be 1 minus 1 is 0. Hence the vector which will be parallel to 111 and 110 will be 1 bar 1 0. So the direction common to these planes 111 and 110 in cubic system will be 1 bar 10. So the correct answer is option C. Now we will move to the next question. So this is question number 13, GATE Metallurgical Engineering 2010 question paper. The engineering stress strain curve for a ceramic material is Option A is parabolic, option B is exponential, option C is logarithmic, and option D is linear. Now, what is a ceramic material? Ceramic material is mostly covalent and ionic. Hence, ceramic material is classified in covalent in the terms of bonding as covalently bonded ceramic or ionically bonded ceramic. So, because of this, as this bond is directional, and here in ionic, ions will be present. Hence, what happens is like dislocations are very rare in these materials. Are very rare. So these materials are very brittle. Because plasticity is very difficult in this ceramic material, which is basically caused by the dislocation moment. Hence, if these materials are brittle, they lack the plastic deformation. Hence, the stress strain curve will be like this is stress and this is strain. So it will be like completely linear, and this point it will break because there is no plasticity, there are no dislocations to create plasticity. And if you can imagine like this, like let's say I have one like negatively charged ion, on the top of that I have positively charged ion. So if I want to make slip occurring in ceramic material, then what will happen, these positively ions will come on top of the negatively charged ions. So this will be not energetically favorable. Hence we don't see slip in ceramic materials. Hence it is very easy to generate crack in ceramic material rather than having it to be deforming using slip. Hence the correct option for the ceramic material is option D. Now we will come to next question. This is question number 15, GATE Metallurgical Engineering 2010 question paper. The energy dispersive spectrometer EDS in an electron microscope does chemical analysis by analyzing the energy of. Option A is secondary electron, option B is characteristic X-rays, option C is Auger electrons, and option D is backscattered electrons. So coming to the solution of this question, firstly we need to understand how this what happens in chemical analysis using energy dispersive spectrometer. So if you can look into this schematic, let's say this is one atom where this is a nucleus of atom and these are the green indicates the electrons. So what happens is like when the incident electron is like coming towards the atom, it incidentally hits this electron and this electron gets ejected out as a photoelectron. Hence now this vacancy is there in K shell of this atom. So this is the energetically favorable state of electron. Hence what will happen is like the electrons from another energy level state, let's say from L or M, will try to come to K shell. So when the electron of L shell will try to come to K shell, K alpha line will be generated. Similarly, when the electron from M shell will try to come to K shell to energetically favorable state, then K beta line will be generated, and hence you can see these are the characteristics characteristic X-rays generated because of that. So basically when this transition occurs, the energy characteristics X-rays are generated which are giving us the identification of the chemical composition of the material. Hence you will see here that when from from the electron from L when comes to K, then it generates certain kind of characteristic X-rays. Hence the answer for this question is answer B, characteristic X-rays. Now we will come to the fourth question of today's lecture. This is question number 17, GATE Metallurgical Engineering 2010 question paper. The third peak in X-ray diffraction pattern of a polycrystalline material BCC metal is A111, B110, C211 and D220. Yeah, coming to the question, the third peak in X-ray diffraction pattern of a polycrystalline material BCC is option A is 111, option B is 110, option C is 211 and option D is 220. So the structure factor for BCC, this is for BCC material, this is for BCC material. So what it tells is like when the structure factor will be when HKL denotes the plane, let's say HKL denotes the plane, when H plus K plus L would be even, then we will have intensity in the X-ray diffraction pattern, and when H plus K plus L should be odd, then it will be 0. Hence the extinction conditions is like the peaks which we will get will be basically H square plus K square plus L square when it will be, let's say, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 and so on. So we will have to see for which HKL this will be the first peak, and similarly this will be the third peak. So in question we have asked is what is the third peak in X-ray diffraction of a BCC material. So here as you can see the third peak denotes 6. So we have to see for which HKL coming from 2, 4, 6 what is the sixth one. So for 2 it will be 110. So this will be the first peak in diffraction pattern. Next will be 200, as 2 square is 4, so this is 4, 1 square plus 1 square is 2. Now for 3 will be 211. So 2 square is 4, 1 square is 1 and 1 square is again 1. So 2 plus 1, 4 plus 1 plus 1 will be 6. So like that in XRD this is intensity and this is 2 theta. So the first peak will be like this, second one will be like this and third will be like this. So this will be 110, second one will be 200 and third peak will be 211. So the correct answer for this question is option C. Now with this you can calculate for another peaks also. If fourth peak is given, then the answer is 8, which will be basically 220. Like that you can go on and checking which peak will be coming after these peaks. Hence the correct answer for this question is option C. So I will try to like summarize this session. So here we dealt with X-ray diffraction problems where like one of the problem was to calculate the peak, which is basically like they can give you any peak like second peak, third peak in BCC, FCC as well as HCP material. Then you should know the extinction conditions for that and you will be able to calculate it which peak is required. And in another question, the mechanism of EDS is basically characteristics X-rays are generated when the transition of electron occurs from a certain level shell to the K level shell. That gives the information of the chemical analysis, chemical composition of the material. And in engineering stress strain curve, we found out that in ceramic material there is no plastic deformation because it is not energetically favorable to have dislocations in a material, and if dislocations are not present, then the material cannot plastically deform. So basically what happens is, at a certain load, when the material cannot sustain that load, cracks develop in material, and this crack propagates, leading to the failure of the material. Hence ceramics are usually brittle and they follow only a linear curve, which is basically a elastic curve. And one question was regarding to the direction common to planes 111 and 110 in cubic system, which was basically you had to do you need to find out one vector which is mutually perpendicular to both these vectors, so that the direction of that vector will lie in both the planes. So that's all for today's lecture. I will meet you in last session for session 12, which will be the final session.